Yeah, and we're really happy that you're here and really proud that even though we weren't together and life was really nuts, that we still were able to make it happen and really honor the people who submitted their visual and written work. And yeah, really excited to hear from people and celebrate you. And yeah, we think that you're amazing. And yeah, so folks who were published in this past year's magazine, if you're here, give us a wave. Hey, Matthew. Do you go by Matt?
Hey, how are you? Yeah, usually Matt.
Great.
Good to see
Great.
everyone.
Yeah, welcome. Matt here is the winner of the Nason Smith Literature Prize. Congrats to Matt. Wrote this great short story. This year it was on fiction. Every year there's a different genre that gets a special prize to honor each genre, some great piece of work that was submitted to the magazine in that genre. Last year it was poetry, and they get broadsides printed throughout campus, and people can read what they wrote. And yeah, and we'll get to hear Matt's story in his own words. Yeah, I figured we'd have people who are here who were published share their stuff, and then after that, anyone who wants to share anything is welcome to. And I see my mom's here. Hi, Mom. All right. How about we start with Matt?
Sure.
Passing you
All
the
right.
Matt.
All right. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so this was a story I wrote for my creative writing class with Professor Monroe. And yeah, I decided to submit it. It's kind of like it's a short story, kind of sci-fi, religious mixture. So I'll get started. A bit long. They were walking up an orange dune. The sun shone so brightly it seemed to be punishing the sand around them. The strange green cacti-like plants were every 10 feet. The deep green offered quite a contrast to the dark red clay that made up the ground. These were the only things they could see: clay, sand, cacti, clay, sand, cacti. The galaxy sun had rings surrounding it, which eerily caused each cacti to have two shadows. They stopped walking once they made it down the hill. He put his pack on the ground to use to hold his back up while he lay down. Before he did, he grabbed a cigarette from one of the many backpack pockets. Can I have one? She asked. He paused and said, why don't you smoke some of the other stuff you brought? I'm rationing it. It's the only thing that helps me sleep. Who knows how much longer we'll be here? His face muscles tightened and he reluctantly pulled another cigarette out of the pack. I'm running a bit low. Try to enjoy it instead of inhaling it like a vacuum, okay? I'll do my best, she said as she grabbed it from his outstretched hand. She lit up her cigarette and sat up a little bit. She smirked. Do you ever question why us? It's almost comedic. We had all the characteristics they were looking for. Husband and wife team, no children, no qualms about accepting the invitation. All the right ingredients to be exploited. You should be angry they took advantage of us like this. The wind blew her flowing, quite wild-looking brown hair into her face. As she stared at him, there was a tsunami brewing in her eyes. He looked at her, almost mesmerized. He snapped out of it, reached into his pack, and pulled out his pocket-sized Bible. As she saw him doing this, she knew exactly what he'd say. She rolled her eyes and said, unbelievable. He flipped through and read, but who are you, a human being, to talk back to God? Shall what is formed say to the one who formed it, why did you make me like this? He closed the book and looked at her. She looked dumbfounded and said, we're scientists. Our entire profession is built on questioning. Now you suddenly don't want to question anything? I'm choosing to question things that matter. You wondering and complaining about the unfairness of it all does us no good. I think our time away from Earth has turned you into a fanatic, she said. And I think our time away from Earth has turned you into a cynic. When I first met you, you were starry-eyed and full of belief in the importance of our mission. Find a new place for humans to live, somewhere full of untouched resources. I don't see any resources here. That's why we came here, to see if it was a viable option. It's not, so let's make it to the mountains so we can tell them we're ready to make the journey home. She sighed and surveyed the area in front of them. Looking past the dunes and the cacti-like plants peppering this landscape, about 30 miles away was the mountain they were supposed to make it to. The ice on the top third of it reflected the sun, making the snow look so white she couldn't look at it for an extended period of time. I don't ever remember you discussing God or any of that stuff until you learned we were going to another planet. I was too self-absorbed. My perspective was too limited on Earth. More like you were tethered to reality. Forgive me for believing in something that actually gives us all a purpose. Light rain began to drizzle, which meant it was time to get moving. She stared at him for a few seconds before standing up. She grabbed her radio device from her hip and tried again in vain to contact their partners. No answer. They put their helmets back on and began walking through the desert-like surroundings. No one is going to be there, you know, she yelled from behind. We don't know that yet. Have a little faith and the journey won't seem as long. The end.
Yeah. Woo. Oh. Matt, when we read, me and Katie and Ryan, who weren't able to make it today, they were part of the student editor team last semester. And when we all read your story and first got together, we were all just so, we were so impressed by how you were able to like pull together, like really through the dialogue, this story that was both like a commentary on like climate change and, you know, what if the earth becomes unlivable and we, you know, need to go see if we can live on Mars or whatever. And like, you could just like really, that's something that's on some of our minds. Like we've thought about that. And, you know, and you see like articles about, you know, thinking about what kinds of people they're going to send to Mars and blah, blah, blah. And it was like so cool. That was like the whole premise of your story. And then you also managed to bring in all these questions about faith and like how, in scary times, there's some people who are drawn more to faith. And then in scary times, there's some people who question faith more. And how like those are both things that a lot of people can relate to, and are like very complicated and like personal and sensitive and emotional and just like very relevant, I think, to a lot of our lives. Whether we're living through a pandemic or just the things we all go through regularly, that we all respond to difficult stuff in different ways. And like, there were just so many layers of like so many things that I think a lot of us found really like relevant in your story that we thought was just so just like so well done. Like it felt cathartic to read it. Like I think Katie and Ryan and I felt like there was a little bit of like at least 4 different things that were like sort of on our minds that came up in your story. Yeah. So that's why we chose yours to be the fiction winner. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice of you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Can't wait like to see what else you write. Have you been writing anything else recently?
Yeah. So after this, actually, someone in my creative writing class, he started an ice cream business, and so yeah, I interviewed him, and that was the first time doing that. So I did a little write up about like a local artist, and then local musician and the ice cream guy. So yeah, I kind of got a little bit into different types of writing, you know, not really fiction, but yeah, this was a lot of fun to do, a fun exercise.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks so much, Matt.
Yeah, of course. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, thanks for reading. Yeah, we'd love to pass the mic on to someone else who had their work featured in 2020 images.
I see Constance out there.
Yeah, right next to Matt.
I was about to press unmute.
Here's your microphone.
Thank you. So I have a vignette, which is a short story that I wrote for Professor Janet Ross last semester. So I'm just going to read the last 2 small stories. So starts with, it was time for change. Shoulder length, dark brown, massively thick head, as if 2 heads were put together, dark brown hair. Mom would mix a white, creamy, and liquid substance together in a jar, a process to straighten my hair. She would rub my forehead, my ears, and the back of my neckline all over my scalp with blue magic grease, which was actually green. Protection so that the creamy substance doesn't burn when applying. No more creamy crack, as I called it. Shaved sides, revealing bareness and shine, 1 inch in space, medium length, thick, tightly coiled, dark brown roots, tip cranberry flavored. Locks are a fresh new beginning. It was time for a change, new path in life, new goals to achieve. I embrace my heritage and my culture even more. Home over a house any day. 2-story, ocean blue, fudge chocolate brown painted bricks, 952 square feet total. Rent 850 a month. That doesn't include electricity. Off-white popcorn textured walls, light blue, gray, and white V-shaped patterned window accent. Display of family pictures and very few words, inspiring wall decor hanging. Furnished with chocolate cocoa leather sofa with a vintage iron and dark wood ended end tables to match. Strawberry pound cake aroma, peaceful, inviting, and loving, and filled with love. Laughter from the gut of two young, innocent boys who make pranks on each other nonstop. Although it's temporarily ours for now, I dream of owning my own home for them mainly. My true home is a place far away where my name will be written on the deeds that I own. And that's it.
Thanks so much for reading and coming, Constance. Your submission really felt like a snapshot of your memoir, or like a mini memoir, from beginning to end. All 5 of the vignettes really felt like it was so amazing how in so few words you really captured like whole stages of your life, and like very detailed, and like it really felt like a story, like the whole, like it was just, we were really like amazed by how you like told us so many things in so few words. And like especially how you were able to what did I want to say? Oh my gosh. Okay, how you were basically, you were writing about like what it was like to be in a female body, and you're writing about puberty, and somehow it wasn't awkward, it was amazing. Like there's it's so there's so few places where we have really good discussions like about what it's like to be in a female body, like written by women, um in ways that don't feel like objectifying, but are like, or maybe even to be able to reflect on like patriarchy and how it's messy, but also to even write about like to write about it in a really affirming way. Like there was just so much about it that I felt like this is what so much of us are looking for, like real stories that feel like relatable. And like, yeah, I'm ready to buy your book.
Thank you. That was my first time. I just kind of submitted the vignette, not ever thinking that I would be published in the magazine. And I was like, oh my God. So
yeah,
it was great. I appreciate that.
It's really good. Like you're a really good writer. You should know that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. 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 Can't wait to see what you write next.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, really, really. Thanks, Constance. Yeah, I'm so proud of us. Like, we're such a talented group of people. Yeah, someone else wants to share too. You can feel free to unmute yourself.
Would anyone in my class did anyone in my class bring anything to share? Now's a good opportunity. If any of my students have anything, a poem you wrote, a poem you didn't write, a story, anything like that, jump on in if you feel the need.
We're very friendly. We don't fight. If I know sometimes it can take a little while to kind of warm up, relax, you know. I can share a poem, and then, you know, when your nerves settle, then you can unmute yourself. This past June, I did this like poem a day for Pride Month, and just shared them on like my private Facebook page. And it was sort of like a challenge to like keep writing and like sit down and just like do something that felt good. But I was like spending a lot of time watching TV and like procrastinating doing work and like worrying about the future. And there were a couple poems that came out of that I was really proud of. And one of them is kind of funny, but also kind of real. It's called Bidar, like gaydar, but for bi people. If only we had Bidar, you know, like gaydar, but for bi people. Never again would we mistake a queer with their same-sex partner for a hard 6 on the Kinsey. Never again would we see long-haired woman holding cis dude's hand and mistake her for an outsider. I pierced my left nostril and I cut off my gorgeous tresses. I introduced collared button-downs to my closet full of skirts and dresses. I dressed my lips red and purple, dangled long jewelry from my earlobes, because I wanted you to see me, you beautiful woman I might love forever out there somewhere. I wanted you to see me, you beautiful man I might love forever out there somewhere. I wanted you to see all of me, to see I wasn't going to play some gender game. I wasn't going to be soft for you or hard for you. I was going to be a full person, a person who didn't see your genitals as some roadmap to our lives. I tried to put myself on the bidar, you know, like gaydar, but for bis. I never seemed to ping anyone's radar. Coming out, we're always coming out. Because this version of our lives, you see, it's only half the story. Yeah, on bi visibility. It's sort of this funny thing that unless you like actively see someone making out with a man and a woman at the same time, which you don't often see on the street, you basically never know anyone's bi, and everyone kind of assumes you're gay or you're straight based on like who you're dating or maybe even how you dress and stereotypes. So I've just been thinking about that, and unless you like wear a sign on your forehead, you're sort of always invisible. Would love to pass the invisible microphone to another lucky contender here at the very friendly Images 2020 magazine release party open mic.
Hi.
It also doesn't have to be something that you wrote. It could be something someone else wrote that you really like. It could even be like song lyrics.
I've got a Thomas Hardy poem to share whenever there's a lull, but I want to give everyone else a chance to read first.
Matt, do you want to read that other poem you had published in Images? The trash can poem?
Sure, yeah. Just give me a sec to pull it up.
By the way, I put a link to this year's magazine in the Zoom chat for everyone if you wanted to just check it out or read along to anything.
All right, trash can poem. This was a detail assignment. We just try to get as many details in as we can with some odd objects. So I was in my room doing it, and I said, "Hey, look, see if there's anything interesting in my trash can." So, all right, trash can poem. Dozens of hot, half-drunk water bottles with water that would smell unpleasant because of the tiny bacteria on the lip of the bottle from my mouth, expanding in number as time goes on. Crumpled up, eggshell white, triple folded paper towel, defaced by creamy peanut butter stains and a dark magenta grape jelly streak through the middle. A birthday card that hurt me when I read it because the message, "I look up to you," wasn't true, so I chose not to send it. A month-old receipt from Walgreens for a bottle of green tea that's a foot long, despite only having one item purchased. More water bottles. Handwritten drafts for my victimology final essay that took hours to construct, but tossed away without a second thought. What happens to all that work? Reminder card for a doctor's appointment that passed. Stuff goes in the trash, time passes, the trash is emptied, life goes on. Yeah.
The detail about the receipt being a foot long despite only having one item purchased, very real, very real.
Yeah, confusing, you know.
They must go through a lot of paper.
Big ways, big ways.
Okay, now when the editors read that poem, we were wondering, is this some like very deep existential comment on the impermanence of life? You know, like stuff enters, the trash can empties, life goes on. Or was he just kind of like describing in very nice detail his trash can, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that thought came to me at the end, you know, life goes on. Yeah, both, all this stuff that we put a lot of time into, right? Like hours, and then it's just like, what happened? It just goes away. So yeah, life goes on.
Cool. I like those both. That's great.
Can I share one? Okay. It's called Spring is like perhaps a hand. Spring is like perhaps a hand which come carefully out of nowhere, arranging a window into which people look while people stare, arranging and changing placing carefully there's a strange thing and a known thing here, and changing everything carefully. Spring is like a hand. Spring is like perhaps a hand in the window, carefully to and from moving new and old things, while people stare carefully, moving a perhaps fraction of flower here, placing an inch of air there, and without breaking anything.
Thanks for sharing, Carl. Yeah, season
Yeah.
poems are
Yeah.
classic. Yeah.
I love the hand rearranging things.
Yeah. Or maybe it's the wind blowing things around, like the leaves and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Carl.
Yeah.
Leah, I see you working up your nerve. You want to share? No, not yet. In your own time.
I can, but I don't know.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I bet it's like 10 times better than you think it is.
I have two. One's a short story, and one is like that voice in your head, that voice that shouts. Okay, I can read it if my camera's not on. I can read it if my camera's not on.
That's okay.
Okay. Okay. This one is the doubt, the voice in your head. Who do you want to be today? It says, I just want to be me. She says, you can't do it. No one likes you. Maybe you can, but that's just you. It says, I don't want to be alone. I just want to be happy today. She says, happy is like that voice in your head that controls your thoughts. Maybe you remember all the evil words they said back then. It says, why can't I escape it then? I'm sure if I just be myself, then people will like me. She says, you can't escape their words and stares. Don't make me laugh. Be you. Are you sure you can get? Are you sure you can get? Can you be accepted like that? It says, no, I'm not sure, but what does it matter what they say? They don't know me. They don't care for me. It wouldn't hurt if I stay true, she says. You see the way that people look at you. You see the stares. You see the rolls of their eyes, the laughter, the chuckles as you walk by. What makes you think you're special? What makes you think you can be accepted like them? It says, well, I guess you're right, but who knows? Maybe someone will accept me for me. Or maybe they can just stare. I don't mind it. It says. So that's it. uh,
I love the way, Leah, I love the way that you separated the inner voice into like a third person. I thought that was really nice. Yeah, Jen just commented something similar in the comments there.
yeah, it is really that doubt or that self-hatred that comes when you like look at yourself, or when like you think something negative when really it has nothing to do with being negative. You're just assuming that the other person is negative when in reality you don't know what they're thinking.
Right. Yeah.
Did you want to share your other poem?
I'll do it after someone else do.
Great. Yeah, we've got time. Yeah, that was great. Thanks. I think we can all relate to those inner voices we have in our heads. I think it's really cool when people do some kind of artistic or creative exercise with especially the negative voices we have in our head. I feel like it can really, just like putting it into words can really help you see what's happening. So that, I mean, maybe we can change some of those voices, or even just even being aware of them, or like putting them into language makes it so that we're a little more, so that those voices maybe aren't controlling us as much, even if they never change and we can just see them. I feel like there's a big power in being able to just name it, you know? Yeah, like it's therapy, like the poem you just wrote, I feel like. Yeah.
Can I try?
Go ahead.
Give me 1 second. Now I'm having technical difficulties. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
You can hear you.
My AirPods just went dead. So the anxiety I have in the car at night, the anxiety I have talking to new people, anyone new, the anxiety I have about my condition, the eyes, the anxiety I have to be around you, just you, the anxiety I have to tell you to leave, just go, the anxiety I have writing anything, the anxiety I have, I'm scared to tell people about, tell them. This is the anxiety I have.
Annika, that was a great use of repetition, a litany poem, right? And just has a really effective use of repetition there. You did that very well.
Brave share. If all we did was like share therapeutic poems about our inner critic and mental health, that'd be like the best thing ever. Yeah, it's not always easy, but I think it makes us all feel less alone when we know that other people are going through the same things we are, and that like it's okay to talk about it. Like it's like it should be so normal to talk about it. Yeah. Thanks.
I was wondering if I can share something that I started writing on 2006 and I never look over it again. When I was in high school back in my country, I used to write a lot of poems, but I never have or had anyone to revise it with me. So I'm not sure if it will make sense, especially because I was, and I'm still thinking in Spanish translating to English. So I'm sorry if it doesn't make sense to you. I apologize for that, but I will really want to share that for you. So those are love poems. I'm so ashamed of it. I'm sorry. And I don't have name for them. So, oh my God, I'm sorry about my little one. So here we go. You cannot live on fantasies. The heart can handle it. To love is too real not to feel it. The time stopped between your lips and mine, making the moment last forever. There is no doubt that I cannot resist your promises. No sunset can wake me up from my dreams. My soul gives life to my memory, and I get to feel the beat of your heart one more time. Logic doesn't understand reason. My kisses don't stop asking for your lips. My voice cannot pronounce a word if it is not your name. My fear hides. I decide to love you, putting end to my loneliness. You cannot live from fantasies, but I have you, my fantasy, my reality. That was a long time ago. I don't know what I was thinking. I'm sorry.
No, I loved it, honestly. I really love the line. I might be getting this slightly wrong, but I jotted it down. I liked it so much. My soul gives life to my memory. I love that line. That was
Yes.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I have another one just to get it out of my system, because if I don't do it, I'll regret it.
Good. Do
So,
it.
and this doesn't have a name either. I just Nathan, please. I'm so sorry. Let me just get it out of my system so I can go to bed in peace tonight. So what have you done to me? What have you done with my desires? You blew my ghost away. You have cleaned my soul. I can't wait to fall in love with you. I can't wait to feel you again. You talk and I hear whispers. I hear the voice of the guy I dream of. What have you done to my heart that dies and comes alive when I remember our last kiss? I keep asking myself, who are you? How did you get into my life? Someone once told me, you cannot live in dreams, but this dream I can spend an eternity on. Do you feel it? You didn't just get a look from me. You stole my soul in just one kiss. This time, I want to be the one that heal your scars. Walk hand to hand, leaving steps over your soul. This time, I want to fight for you. I want to be the one that loves you. I haven't read this in, oh my God, since 2006. So I had no idea how it came out.
So passionate, so romantic, so beautiful.
Oh, that was a long time ago. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Hello, little one. No, it's great. It's great. Oh, there's this line from the first poem that you shared. My voice cannot pronounce a word if it is not your name. Just like dripping with like romance. Just so beautiful. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for bringing your great writers, Mr. Joyner. We are blessed by their arrival.
I'm so glad that that so many of my students have wanted to share tonight. That makes me personally very happy. So thank you to my students. Yeah.
I find that there's a lot of there's so many talented students at Delgado, but I find that a lot of people don't know how talented they are, or maybe no one's ever told them like, hey, you're really good at that. And I feel like one of the great things about having an open mic like this, or even sometimes it can happen in class, but sometimes things that happen in class don't feel very real in a certain way, like they feel kind of contained. I feel like it can be really meaningful to have some kind of other venue to share something you've made, to then get some validation that like, hey, that's really great. Like, you don't have to like go be a writer. You don't have to spend all your time writing, but like, just so you know, like you're good at that, you know. And what's it called? Yeah, I love when people get to maybe consider for the first time, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm a great poet. And people get something out of what I write. Yeah, anyone else want to share something? We would love to.
Yes, I would like to recite a poem from Maya Angelou called Still I Rise. It's a poem I was familiar with, actually grew up reciting, so I just want to recite it over. My name Ariel Cloud, by the way. Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Cause I walk like I got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like the moon and like the suns, with the certainty of tides, just like the hope springing highs, still I rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lower eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my hardiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, cause I left like I've got gold mines, digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meetings of my thighs? Out of the huts of history shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gift that my ancestors gave, I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. I am done.
Thanks, Ariel. Great selection.
No problem.
Stunning. So powerful.
This is a poem I wrote like when I was in about ninth grade. I don't know how it sounds, but can I turn the camera off and then read it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Little brown girl, so short but sweet, weak and afraid of the world to meet. Mama says, stand straight, now slouch but sweet. Oh, what a world I'm scared to meet. Full of life, judgment, lies, and deceit. Mama can't protect you forever, my sweet little brown girl. For the world is yours, you're stronger than you think. For you are brave just like me. Fear not of the people, take the world in your hand. Never, never be afraid of the world when you meet it.
Thanks, Kanisha. That was
Yeah.
beautiful.
So many so many of my favorite poems are passed from one are poems that represent the passing of wisdom from one generation to the next. I think that's such an important part of the human experience, and poems like that always have a special appeal to me. Great poem, Quenisha.
Thank you.
I love how many of the poems that have been shared has something to do with who we are, like our specific identities. Um, there's like, I feel like especially for those of us whose identities aren't portrayed primarily in our media. Basically, if you're not like white and straight and cisgendered, um, if you turn on the TV or open some generic magazine, it's like you don't exist. Um, and something specific about your life experience or what it is to be you in any way, whether in a positive way or about the things that are specifically difficult that other people don't understand. It's like, yeah, we need that. Like, we need to have more poems and songs and, and art that represent like the people who are America, it's like, it's not like we're all white and straight and cis. Like, yeah, it's so good. Yeah, it's just like bringing back to Constance's memoir vignettes. Yeah.
If I could, my instructor, my professor, Ms. Ross, didn't hear my reads. So can I read the beginning of my vignette since we're waiting?
I thought you'd never ask.
Okay. So, young with a mature name. My name in English derives from Latin and means constant. It's one of the more suitable of virtual baby names, yet has a proper image. In Irish, the nickname Connie means strong willed or wise. My mother selected it as if it were a sweet Lucius Cabernet Sauvignon. At school, the children ridiculed my name, especially during recess. They would include my name in nursery rhymes, songs, and laugh. It was like a pair of generational pearl earrings you wore on special occasions. A name for a mature woman in a fancy pink coat with a Frenchor fascinator hat to match. Constance is my name, my dear mother selected for her firstborn. Round naveled oranges. Ready or not, here they come. They're round like navel oranges, but soft like cotton pillows. They were attention grabbers for men and great for rocking a baby to sleep after feeding milk from them. Girls couldn't wait to have them, like wearing a bodycon dress for the first time. Delighted by what I see, I laugh in the mirror and say, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who has the prettiest breast of them all?" They made your clothes fit differently, and the boys stared consistently, especially the caramel colored boy in my English class with the candy apple green eyes. He was HOT, and all the girls admired his physique and style. One day he decided to talk to me. He asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend. Feeling like a kid in a candy store, I replied yes. Friday, after school ended, he and I met behind the pink brick physical education building. Our bodies were nervous, hands sweating, then our nose touched each other's. His lips were like cotton candy, and his tongue was warm like cocoa in the winter. That day, I received my first kiss, a French kiss, as they would say, like riding a roller coaster for the first time. And then, lastly, death came without warning. As the sun peaks over the horizon, I prepare my mind for work. Black polyester pants, black bulky, slip resistant safety shoes, long sleeve white button down Oxford shirt with a Mardi Gras theme man tie and a vest to match. Words didn't describe how terrible I looked. My taste buds are filled with hazelnut espresso latte with a thick form of almond milk and a dash of cinnamon. Warm toasted cinnamon bagels with a plain cream cheese awaits my indulging. While waiting to accommodate guests from my hostess stand, I see my aunt strolling towards me. Her face was bright like a fire engine truck, cheeks like they were filled with jumbo-sized candy-coated bubblegum you could get out of a machine for a quarter. Strange, saying out loud to myself, why is she here? Pondering to myself, it's about my mom. Shaking my head from left to right numerous times in her direction, while salty water escapes my eyes. My ears went deaf briefly as she says, "Baby girl, I'm sorry, but she's gone." My heart and my soul, I'm sorry. My heart and my soul ached as if God had taken it himself. On May 21st, 2004, my mom passed away. As the clouds turned gray and the rain hit the lobby windows, a part of me left too. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Constance. I'm so glad that you shared the rest of your writings.
I needed to release that. I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very, very intimate stuff.
Indeed.
Did you like the painting that came after your writing?
Yes, I was like, yes, so perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It was like right on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we were lucky that, oh, great. Thanks, Sean. Look at you, a technical whiz.
Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just so perfect. I mean, just everyone was thinking about natural hair. Like there were so many natural hair submissions. They all just kind of spoke to each other.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, the other thing I was going to mention was that have you ever read Malcolm X's autobiography?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, the stanza about embracing your heritage and not having to put strong chemicals on your hair anymore reminded me so much of how he talks about the conch. And when he stops treating his hair and he's like, why did I ever do that?
Yep, I agree. I remember.
Yeah, I love it. I love like hearing that, but like from a woman's perspective, you know? Yeah. Thanks, Constance. And by the way, sorry if I didn't mention at the beginning, but anyone can share anything at any time. There was no like special submission or anything you had to do. Yeah, really easygoing. So if anyone wanted to share some poem or story, you're welcome to jump in at any time.
Again? Hey,
Yeah.
sorry. Hold on, they're moving something. Okay, so we are doing an essay, and this is part of it. So I'm reading it from the computer. Now I'm making this up as I go. Hold on. I met all my friends through a summer camp. Now I have 4. Forever friends, we may not be close. In all generations, we must go. All, sorry, it must still. I'm gonna read it off the paper. It's not working. Okay, we must go. Okay, it's okay. It's the 4 times that I went back. I went when I was 6. Losing sight may be hard, but this is something. This is something that I know. Sorry, I didn't like it. Sorry.
You're good. Do you want to keep sharing? Because you totally can if you do.
No, now I don't know. I'll come back when I got it together.
That's totally fine. There's no pressure. No pressure. Doing great. Let's see. Any other students who wanted to share something?
I did.
Great. Also,
it's not mine at all, but I love this story because, okay, it's a scary but not scary story. It's like kind of scary, but it's kind of like um, a son and mother bond type thing. I love it, but in theme of Halloween.
Cool.
Because I would share. Okay. I'm gonna share some of it, but it's because it's way too long. Okay. It's called "You Are My Baby." My mother had the most beautiful teeth. Her teeth are my first memory. The I remember them long and white, bearing a furious grin, shining under the full moon as she told me a story, not a fairy tale or a picture book, but my story, the story of how I come to her, or rather how she'd come to me. When I was very small, too small to remember anything at all, my mother stole me from a man and took me to live in the forest. She stole me not as an act of love, but an act of revenge. Though I was this, though I was young to know anything, she never told me what needed revenging. One night, I finally asked, "Why won't you tell me?" "Because you are my baby," she whispered in her low, wet voice. She stroked my face with long fingers, her teeth glistening under the stars, rich and pale as polished ivy. "My baby will never hear or see or know the curses that haunt me." Cruelty was not the only thing my mother knew that I did not, although it was the only thing she refused to teach me. My mother tried very hard to teach me everything she knew. Unfortunately, I was a very poor pupil indeed. My mother was remarkably huntress. She fled elk and bear effortlessly. Sometimes she slid into the lake without making so much as a ripple. The return hours later with a monstrous fish clamped in her jaws. Because hunting what came so easily to her, mother expected me to learn quickly. "Men hunt," she hissed. "They have always hunted. So shall you." But I could not hunt, not like her. My small, soft fingers were no match for her lethal claws. My clumsy little body, somehow so suitable for both the heat and the cold, trailed after her, trailed after her with like predator form. My mother caught deer and foxes with her beautiful teeth, striking from the shadows like a snake. By contact, my dull teeth could not even crush rabbit's bones. I persevered, but I did not improve. One night, while mother snaked through the shadows, communicating with the trees effortlessly, she pondering through the night, I crept up and wept. She found me the way, she found me that way, weak and weeping. I covered my eyes and held my breath. I know it was useless. Mother could hear my heartbeat from the other side of the hills. So she so she surely knew I was crying, but the small scrapes of pride was all I had. Mother stood there for a long while, then crept forward and covered me with fresh leaves before lying beside me. "I will feed you always," she whispered, "because you are my baby." There you go.
spooky.
Basically, the mother is a spirit of the forest. She's not really alive. She's a monster, like a giant spider monster. and she died because a guy decided to kidnap her and rape her and make her bones into, throw it into acid and threw it into the forest, and then the forest heard her cries as a spirit and she became the forest.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Wow. I love that so much. Like, it kind of reminds me of the creation story in Genesis, like, you know, people being formed from the earth. But like, even better, this is the story of like a woman who was violated, and then like the earth comes up to like help her grow and like thrive and like live in this other way. Yeah, so powerful. Thanks for bringing the spooky. Yeah. Oh, and announcement. If you would like a copy of Images 2020 magazine, you can pick one up, a real, fleshy, printed copy, if you go into Delgado City Park campus and go to the front desk in building 115E, building 1. It's in the chat. And yeah, get them while you can. I'm definitely going to go sometime very soon and pick one up myself. Yeah. And then you can, Matt and Constance, you can put it on your coffee table, and then, you know, when your friends and family come over, you can just be like, I'm okay. Check that out.
I plan to do.
Yeah. Yeah, feels great. It'll feel good. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Mr. Joyner, do you want to share the writing you were saving for a lull?
Yes, indeed. Ready for some Thomas Hardy?
Sure.
So this poem was just recently recommended to me by Chris Albers, who works in the Writing Center. She is my embedded writing coach in one of my academic literacy classes, and brought this poem up during class. I had never read it, and I read it and loved it. So I'm going to share it with us today. So this is called The Convergence of the Twain. Hardy wrote these lines on the loss of the Titanic. Okay, so the convergence of the twain. In a solitude of the sea, deep from human vanity, and the pride of life that planned her, stilly couches she. Steel chambers light the pyres of her salamandrine fires, cold currents thrid, and turn to rhythmic tidal lyres. Over the mirrors, meant to glass the opulent, the sea worm crawls, grotesque, slimed, dull, indifferent. Jewels, in joy designed to ravish the sensuous mind, lie lightless, all their sparkles bleared and black and blind. Dim moon-eyed fishes near gaze at the gilded gear and query, what does this vaingloriousness down here? Well, while was fashioning this creature of cleaving wing, the eminent will that stirs and urges everything, prepared a sinister mate. Prepared a sinister mate for her, so gaily great, a shape of ice, for the time far and dissociate. And as the smart ship grew in stature, grace, and hue, in shadowy silent distance, grew the iceberg too. Alien they seemed to be, no mortal eye could see the intimate welding of their later history. or sign that they were bent by paths coincident on being anon twin halves of one august event, till the spinner of the years said now, and each one hears, and consummation comes and jars two hemispheres. The Convergence of the Twain by Thomas Hardy.
And that was written on the Titanic, did you say?
Written on the news of the Titanic's loss.
Okay. And I was gonna be like, did he survive? Like,
did he have a premonition? Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, I thought that was fun. It's written in triplets. You might be able to see it's written in triplets, and each triplet is numbered 1 all the way to 11.
Thanks for giving us the educational information, keeping it a learning experience.
Thanks.
No, it's good. It's good. Yeah.
I would like to point out that submissions are open for the 2021 issue, which will be Delgado's centennial issue. So Delgado will have been around for 100 years, an entire century. Isaac Delgado is crispy in the grave at this moment. And I put in the chat the submission guidelines, which aren't up on the website yet, but they will be up on the website sometime soon.
Great.
Just to let everybody know.
Great. Well, I can't wait to read at least 5 submissions from the people here at this event. Based on what's been shared, there is some writing to go around. Yeah.
Also this year, the Nathan Smith Prize is going to be for visual art. So we did poetry, we did fiction. So we're going to do visual art this year. So all you painters and artists, comic artists, anyone who does any kind of work, photography and visual art, there's an opportunity to win $100 and have a bunch of broadsides printed. As Matt can attest, he came and picked up the $100 check the other day. Did it go through, Matt? Did it get deposited in your bank account?
Yep, it did not bounce. It's all good.
Real money. It's real money from Delgado. There is no entry fee. Every submission of visual art will be considered for the Nathan Smith Prize.
Very cool. Very cool. Tell your friends who go to Delgado. Tell your classmates. And how long do people have to submit-ish?
Until May 3rd, 2021, so the end of spring semester. So tons of time.
Great. Great. Woohoo. Nice. Just saw the submission guidelines in the chat. Awesome. Cool.
Can you only submit like one?
Yeah. You can submit just one poem. You can submit up to 5 poems, 10 poems, 20 poems, 30 poems. Submit as much as you want. The more submissions, the better. I think we had about, what, Shana, 72 submissions last year?
Yeah. And we read and looked at for the visual art, every single one of them. Yeah.
Lots of room in the journal for good work. Please send your submissions in.
Yeah. And then you can hold your very own writing or visual artwork in a printed magazine with your name on it. And you can show all your friends and family and brag and tell them how talented you are. And leave it on your coffee table for people to look at when they come over. Be a published author, that's right. But really, beyond just like feeling very cool and accomplished, you know, if you really are interested in the creative arts, maybe you're thinking about transferring to a 4-year university when you finish Delgado and majoring in something artistic, or maybe you're picking a very practical major, but you really do want to spend more time in your life making art There are a lot of different kinds of people who submit to images. Not everyone's like, studying something artistic, but it can be a really great way to build your resume, like your academic resume, and apply to, there are like all kinds of like, arts fellowships and internships, some even paid, that if you have like one thing, like I was published by my school's literary and visual arts magazine, that gives you some credibility, and yeah, it really can be a good thing for if you like are wanting to do other kinds of creative things. It can help you like build an application for anything like that. Like after I was published in Images a couple years ago, I applied to do an internship at Brandeis outside of Boston. And it was a Jewish gender studies internship. And I really wanted to write a book of poetry about like Jewish Orthodox and queer stuff. And I was actually paid for like a whole summer to like write creatively. And I told them that I was a published writer in my school's magazine. And other than that, I'd never been published in anything, and kind of felt like I had nothing to show for myself. And then, I got like a recommendation letter from a professor of mine, and I got to spend the summer writing creatively and like being mentored by people who thought that was a really valuable thing to do in the world. And maybe if I hadn't been published by Images, I would have felt a little bit like, oh, I shouldn't even apply. Like, they're not going to consider me. Like, I'm a community college student, or blah, 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 and all the things we tell ourselves. So yeah, it can be a great thing to help you like do other great things. For the like, college opportunity, blah, blah, blah stuff. But also no pressure. Just send us your poems. Anyone else want to share something? Now's your time to shine. I have another poem to share. No one's jumping in. This poem is about dropping out of community college, and it's literally called Community College Dropout. I went to another community college back in New York where I grew up some years back, and after like a year and a half of like withdrawing from semester after semester, or getting bad grades or whatnot, mostly like withdrawing from semesters and not completing them, I just decided like I couldn't do college. It just wasn't something I was capable of. And I just really gave up on it for many years. My partner's making pizza, some pizza sounds. And obviously now I'm back in school and having a much better time of it than I did the first time around. And so I'm set to graduate in the spring. And when I graduate in the spring, it will have taken me 6 years to earn a 2-year degree. And I'm very proud of that. It's like triple the time that it's supposed to take. And some of those years were spent just not doing school at all, and maybe thinking I didn't know if I'd ever go back to school. And so I've been reflecting on what it was to drop out of school, and how I've just like been looking for things to read about other people who've really struggled to complete a college degree, and like the very on and off kind of like journey that it can be like, and kind of why. Hey, Benny. And why people struggle to, even finish a 2-year degree, which on the surface to some people seems like a very simple thing to do, but for a lot of reasons really is not simple for a lot of people. And so for me, it had to do with my mental health, and it also had to do with grappling with being bisexual and being part of a very religious and homophobic community, where it kind of felt like my life was over and I didn't have a future. And so I was just like really, really depressed. Community college dropout. Gay and lesbian literature seemed a good place to catch up on my newfound lost history. I needed a lit credit anyway. We eyed each other, suspicious and hopeful, our hawk eyes wandering curious. Are you also here to find yourself in a book? Like, if you exist on paper, then you might be able to exist in the flesh? But there had to be a girl, a gorgeous girl, who looked Ashkenaz like me, with always red lips and a wavy black-brown mane. Someone I could really let myself like. Maybe. Are you my wife? I visioned our entire future out of an overactive and desperate imagination, like I could only take my life off pause if my future was guaranteed, if not in this world, at least in my imagined one. I stopped writing essays, let my grades slip into unsavable oblivion. The day I decided to drop out, her lips were plump as ever, and my mind a frenzy of self-loathing. I couldn't bear my own desire. I couldn't go back to that class because it told me I did belong somewhere, but not where I most wanted to be, in my own community. How could I possibly build myself up on ground who disappeared beneath my feet? How could I possibly live in this world when my wanting was bound up with sin, with lesser, with unredeemable bad? So all my burning, my big, big love turned into lifelessness, into reaching for nothing, into counting the pointless days, praying for a liberation miracle, like my ancestors who died before salvation came. Yeah, bouncing off the ancestor themes that some people shared tonight. 7 years for my master's degree, Jen. Nice. Thanks. That's what we need to hear more of, especially for those of us who are not going to ever complete any degree in the amount of time that it's supposed to take. I feel like just knowing that that's not, oh, hey, Constance is heading out. Maybe she already did. Okay, we love you, Constance. Thanks for sharing. If you didn't already leave. Yeah, I feel like just knowing that it's normal, that college isn't easy for a lot of people would just make it feel easier to accept that it's going to be different from how you thought it was going to be, maybe. And maybe less of us would drop out if we didn't feel like so ashamed for like having a hard time with it. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I'm thinking maybe we might be ready to wrap up in a couple minutes. Unless anyone else who's been waiting for the right moment wanted to share something, maybe a couple last poems to leave us off. Hey, on round 4, Amanda. That's right. That's right. That's right.
I have a story I written when I was younger. I was really angry with the world. Not angry as in like, oh, I hate this. Angry at like people that I love were dying. So I wrote this story that I wish would happen at the time, not now. But it's kind of like how Trump is on screen and he's saying really ridiculous stuff, and then you're just like, huh? But you wish it didn't happen. It's called Heaven City, my version of Heaven City. Okay, this city of heaven and hell, one free man that will go unnamed from the video screens of phones, TVs, and every intelligent device. Hello, my fellow citizens. From this day forward, all laws have changed. Anyone who kills or does body trafficking in this country will be put on death row. I have come to the conclusion that we do not need scum like this on earth any longer. These new laws should help all make it easier to come unharmed from walking down streets and looking at the sky as another day flew by. Anyone that shall draw blood upon another shall also get their blood drawn. The person speaking moves side to side as it shows hundreds of the most wanted from years and years beyond time have put to jail for their crimes. But have you ever thought maybe these people didn't need jail? Maybe these people who go on rampages didn't need to be alive. As this person decides, I've come to the conclusion that maybe if they had a harsher punishment, that there would be no need to draw blood. There won't be no need to kill, or all you can do is love. From now on, all laws have changed. You will meet me in hell one day, as I know that these laws don't sit right with God. But as it comes from another human being, I would like to see the world change. Yeah. So,
Yeah. I love how what you just shared was just like this very unfiltered expression of rage. It felt like the whole point was just to like say like there's something I think is really wrong that I'm really angry about. Like I think there are people who do such bad things that like they just shouldn't exist, you know, and they should be punished. Like
The way
yeah,
that we reflect on justice when we're angry
right.
is interesting, and you unpack that in an interesting way, Leah.
I was really angry when I was younger. A lot of wrongdoings with going around in my family, and it wasn't necessarily the family members in my family; it's more outside people. And these people I really liked, so I was just really upset about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so glad you put it into writing like that. Yeah.
I felt like writing was like my only way of getting it out because I refused to talk to people. I was like mute when I was younger. So writing was like the only way I could like say what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it without like going to somebody and somebody judging me from thinking this way.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I bet a lot of us writers relate to that specific story. Yeah. Yeah, that's so great. That's great. Yeah, my therapist just gave me a writing assignment this last week. I'm seeing like an arts therapist for the last couple of years. And she told me to write a letter to my parents expressing all of my anger at them for like really legitimate things that were like criminal, like bad, like totally like very bad. And yeah, and it felt so hard to do, but it also felt like there was a place for it, you know, to just put it onto this piece of paper. Yeah, and when people do things that are like really really wrong, there's no accountability in our family or our society. It's like, where do we put all that anger? You know, like there's a reason you're angry, like a good reason, you know, and like yeah, like it has to go somewhere.
Yeah, I used to do that a lot. Like if I was angry, I would walk out of class and just sit down and write. And I would always throw the writings away because I never want nobody to see it. But it was like something where my voice was heard, but I didn't want to be heard at the same time. Like I just wanted to get it out and release it. So like bottled up.
Yeah, so good. It's so like it's such a healthy thing, you know. It's like having a coping mechanism. Like, yeah, yeah, good for you. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm really glad that we all got together and made time to do this on Zoom, even though it like wasn't really a great thing to meet in person yet. Yeah, it's not the same as being in person, but but it's just good that we can still be like making some kind of community right now. And yeah, for our writers to yeah, know that we're proud of them, and yeah, and to let you all know that we're accepting submissions and going to have another magazine this year, and we're also looking for some more student editors. So if you want to get involved and be a student editor, who should you contact? I say you can email Sean, email Mr. Joyner. Yeah, most of you have at least one of their all of you have either one of their contact infos. So yeah, feel free to be in touch with us. And thanks for coming. Perfect. You can see those emails in the chat right there. And great email, Sean. Is that really your email?
No, it's not. It's not.
Oh.
He put it up there. He put it up there.
Great. I'll put my
fun.
Great. Yeah, you can also feel free to reach out to me about getting involved, being a student editor. Yeah, you're all awesome. Thanks so much for coming.
Also, one more thing. There is another reading next week, October 27th. Is Gina still here? I think she left. Is that like a Wednesday or something? It's a Tuesday at 6 p.m. You can find it on our Facebook page. I'll also send out some emails and stuff. We have two poets, Allison Pellegrin and Nordette Adams, coming in to read. And they're going to read some poems just like this. They'll probably read about 20, 30 minutes each and take some questions afterwards. So if you're looking for something else to do, there is another poetry reading next week, October 27th.
Great. Thanks. And thanks for coming, Mom. That's right. That's right. Letter was to Dad. Dad sucks. Mom, love you. I love you, Mom. Amazing. Okay, great. We'll hope to see you all soon at the next reading.
All right, see you.
Yeah, great. Have a great night.
Thanks for hosting, Shannon.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Love to everyone.